Hello everyone, Jorge Huertas once again with all of you. Today I'm gonna show you what is and how to use the tool Buyer Persona. Well, this is a tool of understanding. It got the following characteristics. It is a fictitious profile based on real customer data and information. It is the personification of the ideal client of your company. With user-centered design and marketing, people are characters imaginary create to represent the different types of users that could use a website, brand, or a product in a similar way. The buyer persona is the ideal client of a certain product or service. For having a mental image as accurate as possible of our buyer persona, it is necessary to collect information on socio-demographic aspects like personal issues, online behavior, relationships, with our company, and of course the insight. Do not confuse this with user profile, which is a different tool and is a real user 100%, not an archetype. So when we talk about the buyer persona, it's extremely important to begin developing a focus group. This focus group will be developing different objectives. You will have a target group. You could develop it as analog or digital. Is really up to you and how do you prefer to do it. And of course, user-centered design is extremely important because the idea here is that you can define which are the main characteristics of your ideal buyer. So the first thing that you need to understand is that perhaps you could have two or three buyers for your product, your service, or your company. That is extremely important. And of course, this is an archetypical representation of your ideal customer or client. It's really up to what kind of product, service, or project are you having because you could have different buyer personas. The idea here is to identify the motivations and needs. The step by step to create a buyer persona is that, of course, you recollect the information in a focus group, you analyze the information, and of course, you define the characteristics. The idea here is that you can make an infographic or make a specific description of your buyer and with all the different characteristics that it has. Of course, if it's very specific, it will help you a lot because with this tool, you can direct your strategy. Why is important to define a buyer persona? Because it will allow you to know better your user. It will allow you to focus and understand better their needs. And of course, any development and any decision that you take, it will be user-centered design, which is extremely important because it will allow you to create and make it a better understanding or the process that you are making. The visual part is extremely important because you have to put the demographic. It means where they are, where it is. Of course, the behavior, the different actions and different activities that the person does every day. Of course, aspects important about the lifestyle which are related to your project. Perhaps if you are developing a restaurant, you will need what kind of food they got, how many times a day they eat, how much money are they willing to spend in a new development. That is just an example. And of course, consumption habits. The consumption habits are very important because, especially nowadays, people are really related with social network and social media. So it's very important to know in which platforms are they, how do they like it, how are they focusing, everything that they are developing, and how it could be uh, create. The idea here is that after you have all that information, you create your buyer persona. I strongly recommend to make an infographic for that, but the idea here is to create around the buyer what they are seeking, and how can your product, your service, or your company can fulfill those needs. So that is very, very important. The idea here is that with the information that you collect developing your buyer persona, you can direct it to your company, to your development, and to that you could apply it in that. So that will be very, very important as well. As a conclusion, we can see that this tool allows to generate an archetypical of your buyer, which is very, very important. Um, it's important to have in your mind that this process can be used with extreme users. It's very typical that you don't have just only one kind of buyer. You could have different kind of buyers, so you can use this tool many times identifying those. But the tool of extreme users, it will allow you to have a better understanding of what you are developing. It is necessary to differentiate between user and buyer. That's something very important, because many times people are confused with that. A buyer is someone that purchase your product, your service, or uh, or your business. However, the person who is purchasing that is not always the user. This work a lot, for example, for products for kids and babies, because they don't buy it themselves. The parents do. So that's very important to keep that in mind. Thank you so much. I hope this video was a big help in your education. Please subscribe to our channel, Design Thinking 24/7. Follow us on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram. Our Udemy courses are already available. The link is in the description of this video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.